first of all. I'm from a small town. I still live there now. That's where I'm working at now. And I knew that when I was, just saying at the outset, I knew that I didn't necessarily want to go to a very large school, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm from a small town. So I said, you know what, I'll go to A&T, like, their department is not very big. It's a big school compared to where I'm from. But it's not a very big department. So I decided to go off to join this department and say, okay, I love physics. Mainly, what I love, everybody, what I started out doing, I want to be nuclear. That's why I wanted to do. Astronomy was always in the background somewhere for me too. So that's mainly because of my mother's influence. She always had a lot of like books about space around the house. Always read those, Cosmos, Carl Sagan. That had a big impact on me. Another book had a big impact on me is, and that guy just recently won the Nobel Prize, Kip Thorne's book, Black Holes and Time Warps. That had a big impact on me as well. And so, and Material Calculus, Hyperspace. Those 3 books, oh yeah, Walt Disney, our friend Adam. That's from when I was a little kid. all those books had an impact on me. So, still, after the same, when I came to school, things like that, and said, I found out I had already taken physics in high school, but I had not taken calculus. I was like, dang, I got to take calculus. Oops. So I found that, and at first I said, man, I don't know about this calculus. Then when we got to related rates, when we got to that subject, I was like, man, I love calculus, you know. And I love calculus. Then integration came in. I was like, well, I don't like it now. You know what I'm saying? Ended up liking integration. So like that. So and like I said about Lynae's point about internships. When I first got here, they actually really harped on that. It's like, you know, saying Dr. Cabelli, Dr. James. Actually, my first internship was with Dr. Padroni. Remember him? At a little lab at Duke, you know, Tony. So that's my introduction to nuclear physics. That was lower into nuclear physics. You know, they had a tandem Van de Graaff generator, things like that. So at that time, I didn't realize, well, yeah, you can't use a Van de Graaff generator as an accelerator, can't you? So I worked there for a summer. I mainly did data analysis. So you're talking about learning programming languages? Did a lot of that. That was my first real research job. So after that, I worked 2 summers with Dr. Dan Gooley and Dr. Amadouche. As a matter of fact, it was Dr. Amadouche that actually offered me a job to work with him at Jefferson Lab. So after I was in mathematical physics with him, and he was really impressed with what I was able to do. So he's like, hey, you want to come work for me during the summer? And then I said, sure, I'll do that. Did that 2 summers, and I still like nuclear, but the thing is, sometimes I can get impatient with research. So I felt like, you know what, I want to do something that can change about every day. So that's when astronomy came back in. So once I went off to grad school at University of Georgia, and again, I chose Georgia. Why? You know what I'm saying? They have a very good program, and one of the guys in their program was a radio astronomer. So he maps out clouds and the interstellar medium and things like that. He works at Arecibo in Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico's really, after what happened in Puerto Rico recently, that was really devastating for him, you know, because he's really close to Puerto Rico. He's a guy out of New York, but because he does research in Puerto Rico, he's very close to the people. So, but anyway, I worked with him in grad school, and actually, my actual research advisor was a computational, say, molecular physicist. So I did AM&O physics. I switched to AM&O from nuclear, and also did astrophysics as well. His project gave me a chance to do both. So did computational work, things like that, and I got my master's, and I was like, I want to stick with this. And this is where sometimes the story changes, everybody. And this is my little point to all you guys. Sometimes your plans can change, all right? Let me tell you what happened to me. I applied to the school, and they turned me down. I was like, why? They got me a letter. So they gave me this letter saying that, you have not shown signs that you can actually complete the program. So I swallowed that bitter pill, and I'm like, you could have told me that before I applied. That's what I think to myself. And I told my research advisor, man, why didn't you tell me that? He said, well, I'm sorry I made that decision. I can't remember all the stuff he said right now. It's too many years ago now. But anyway, I moved on from that, and while I was in grad school, everybody, this is my point. I learned that I have a real passion for teaching. Teaching, like saying labs, at that time, they don't let you teach labs, you can teach lectures. But I realized that, research is great, but I really enjoy doing this, And Sorry if I keep looking around, just want to make sure I'm focusing on the right camera. But I decided that, you know what, teaching is where I want to do. I want to do education. So what I did, like I said, for a number of years, I stayed at Georgia. I wasn't in school, but I stayed there and I worked with the athletic department. And I pretty much learned how to teach students of diverse backgrounds, but then with probably one of those diverse student population there is, that's student athletes. I had football, basketball, baseball, you know what I'm saying, to go down the list. I had some of everybody. So, we're talking about students and not necessarily going to be scientists. We're talking about people probably, they're at University of Georgia, I'm going to become a star football player. None of the guys I work with are now in the NFL. You know, so, but still, I learned how to be a good teacher by doing that. So, by tutoring them. So, they paid me, all that kind of stuff. So, I did that for a number of years. I said, well, I'm about to hit the glass ceiling, so I got to get out of here. So, I came back to North Carolina, actually expecting to go to Raleigh to work there. Then I found out, hey, you know, that's a position open at Lenore Community College. So I said, wow, a teacher position, physics position. I'm thinking like it's like part-time. It's almost full-time. It's full-time, and like I said, okay, I went in, applied for that, got that job, been doing it ever since. And that's also led off to avenues. Even though it's a small school, it's led off to like all kinds of different things. Now they're science club advisor. Now they're actually going to pay me to go back to school to learn chemistry, to teach that. And I was like, you guys gonna pay for it? He said, we're gonna pay for it. So I said, well, you gonna pay if we go back to school? I'll do it. And then also too, just recently when the solar eclipse happened, I actually was, I went to Newbern to do a talk and didn't know that I was gonna be filmed. They had a news camera, they had a news crew in there that was filming me. I said, I didn't know this was gonna be filmed. And the guy interviewed me afterwards. I ended up on the 11 o'clock news. So, and that's why I'm saying this, you never know, my point is, you never, like I said, you might have a plan, but sometimes your plan has to change. And then when it does, you never know where it can lead you off to. Now I'm being involved in engineering pathways, because I train a lot of engineering students. That's really what my focus is, you know, let's say Travis here, he's like he's an engineering student, had my class at LCC, now, you know, same with A&T. Got another guy that went to ECU. Got another guy that went to, most of my guys actually go to state. A lot of guys go to NC State and as well as ECU, but I got two guys. One guy is working with NASA now. Another guy, he's about to get an internship with NASA. So that I'm basically, like I say again, what I love about it is not only I get to educate them in physics, I can be part of that pipeline to help them get where they need to go. You want to work with NASA? Okay, I can help you out with that. You want to go, one guy said, like one student I got now, she wants to go to Caltech. She wants to do aerospace, she wants to go to Caltech. I said, okay. I mean, like I said, when the time comes, I can help her out with that when she gets ready to graduate. And mind you, this young lady is only 17. You know, so she's already got, say, her mind set there saying go to Caltech and all that. She said, that's what I want to do. And I have one other example I can think of. One student I have, sorry I'm looking down, just trying to get my thoughts together. One student I have, they was trying to do, medicine. So she ended up like saying, she was interested in physics at first, but she said, okay, I want to do medicine. So she's now doing medicine. And she had like general physics 1 and 2 with me. So actually she did general 1, then she transferred. So that's another thing I often do is I work with a lot of college transfer. So like I said, here at A&T, you're gonna probably have a lot of people that said coming from LCC. So way else, you know, saying if I have anything to do with it, there's gonna be a whole lot of them coming and saying from LCC here, and like anybody else I know in the area. So that's pretty much it.
Yes.
Going on the back of the topic is
And I initially wanted to get my bachelor's degree in astronomy. And my mom said that is not happening. You are going to A&T. That's just what our family does. I went to A&T, your dad went to A&T, your grandparents went to A&T, your sister went to A&T, so did your cousins. And she basically said, you know, you can go to A&T or you can go to community college. That's your, that's your choice. It was pretty tough. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to A&T. I had initially planned on my senior year in high school. I went to Dudley High School, which is just down the street. I had planned on taking maybe like 6 home ec classes, and taking, my senior level English and just breezing through. And I think something happened where I ended up talking to Dr. Jackson, who used to be a professor here, Dr. Caesar Jackson, on the phone. And he was like, no, you're about to be a senior. You need to take physics and you need to take calculus, which I was pretty bummed about because I didn't want to do that my senior year of high school. My uncle was a guidance counselor at my high school, and he pretty much pushed that too. He was like, you need to take math. I said, well, I've taken all the math that I'm required to take, all the science, I've done everything. He was like, I don't care. You are going to college, you will take a math course. So between what Dr. Jackson told me and between my uncle, I ended up taking physics and calculus my senior year in high school. My physics teacher, Mr. John Brown at Dudley, was an alumni of the program here, and started telling me about the opportunities as far as scholarships. And when you tell parents there are scholarships and you can potentially get a full ride, they're like, oh yeah. My mom's like, yeah, you were going to A&T, but now definitely you're going. You don't have a choice. So I came here, and I'm very glad that I did. One thing that people didn't tell me is that as an astronomer, it's better, or a space scientist, it's far better to have a bachelor's degree in physics than to have one in just maybe pure astronomy, because you get more math, which you need, and math kind of makes you marketable, whatever you decide to do after you graduate. So you need more math, you need more hard science. When I started taking astrophysics courses in graduate school, it was basically E&M as applied to stars and galaxies. So that was really important. While I was here, I think Dr. Cabetti had gotten a grant for space sciences, so I worked with him a little bit. I did summer internships. That's very important because I don't think there's an astronomer in this department. Is there? So if you are interested in space sciences, you need to take internships. For me, it was a little bit difficult because I really wanted to take an upper level astrophysics course. There was not one here. So basically, summer is basically how I got my astrophysics fix, I guess. My first internship that I did away from here was at the National Radio Astronomy Observatory in Charlottesville. The next summer after that, I was an intern at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. So the first summer at National Radio Astronomy Observatory, I studied substellar objects called brown dwarfs. They're somewhere in between the mass range of Jupiter, our planet Jupiter, and small stars. So I studied those. And then the next year at NASA Goddard, I studied Mars. That's pretty much it for my undergraduate. I would just really encourage you to get off of campus during the summer. Do internships. It really helps you, especially if you're interested in graduate school. It looks good on your application, but also when you get to graduate school, you're going to have to choose a research topic, and that's pretty difficult to do if you haven't done any research at all. So that would be my advice to you. Do internships.
Because I wanted to work on electric vehicles. I'm from Detroit.
Yes.
I wanted to stick with electric vehicles. I wanted to go back to Detroit, work at Ford Motor Company, and I was going to be, excuse my analogy, a rocket scientist with engineering, with electric vehicles. And then I met Dr. Cabetti. So I took his course, General Physics 2, and he asked me, soon after that course, I guess I did well enough, he asked me if I wanted to go to Livermore. I had never been to the West Coast. I didn't even know what that was, but I went to Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory where I worked on superconductivity. And I still wasn't thinking about physics. It was an opportunity, it was interesting, and he just kind of threw me in. And I did some serious research, and talking about learning swimming by being thrown into the deep water. That's what my experience was as an engineering student. So working on superconductivity, babysitting experiments, in helium dewars, it's a superconductivity, so it had to stay cold. So, and just getting up in the middle of the night to keep the experiments going because that helium will evaporate. And at the end of that summer, got a research paper out of it. It was a great experience with a lot of other students from all over the country come to Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory to do science, and it was thrilling. And so I came back to A&T after that summer of '92. And then there was not just Dr. Cobetti, but then there was other opportunities here in physics. There was Dr. Valerie Williams, who was doing research on diamond films to cover, I believe it was inside of gun barrels to make them last longer, doing some of that basic work. And the opportunities kept coming at me. And being here at A&T, money isn't always easy to come by, but the opportunities in physics kept coming at me. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go where the open door is. And I became a physicist. And so from there, let's see, I went to grad school. Everything just kept going. Everything, kept learning physics. And I went to grad school at Georgia Tech. And I got back to electric vehicles when I went to Georgia Tech. I worked on fuel cells for electric vehicles, the hydrogen generation for those fuel cells. So, wanted to stay with electric vehicles, ended up getting right back to electric vehicles, but from the physics point of view. So I worked with a physical chemist as a physicist, so now I'm a chemical physicist. How about that? And so from there, I went to a postdoc. So not only did I start, backing up, not only did I start with Dr. Cobetti at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, but after that, I went to Los Alamos National Laboratory. I did that for 2 summers, even the summer before my grad school. So when I finished grad school, all I knew was national laboratories. So I started cold calling national laboratories. When I think about the audacity of just calling up national laboratories of researchers whose work was interesting, hey, I'm finishing up, this is what I've done, and guess what? I got a postdoc at a Naval Research Laboratory. Right in DC, I forget where I am. I'm saying right here, but in DC, and that was amazing. And that went from that experience to working for industry then. So then was my career in industry, where I was working for really the Defense Department. And so from it wasn't that much of a skip. And a lot of times these paths will have a defined path. Where you're connecting the dots, from, like I said, electrical vehicles to electric vehicles to these national laboratories to a national laboratories that focused on defense to now I'm in defense, doing defense work for the last 12 years. And I'm still doing that. And we're going to get into the discussion on employment, and I have some comments about that. Because there's a lot of opportunities in Washington, D.C. That's where I've been. There's a lot of opportunities in Washington, D.C. For physicists, for technical people, with folks that know multiple languages. I mean, it could be in the government, or it could be in some quasi-government industry, but there's just a lot of opportunities. I recently, I'm in the process of changing jobs, and people were just calling me. I was taking interviews while I was driving down the road. I mean, people are wanting technical people. And the physics background, the technical background, even though I'm not doing hard science, it was a technical background, these experiences. And they're like, oh, I know you could do this job well, we really want you. So you're doing well by having a technical degree and learning those languages, learning science, learning the math, you're going to do just fine. Just keep on doing what you're doing.
Undergrad experience was kind of like a culmination of what I wanted to do and what I had to do. I knew I wanted to go into physics since I was probably in sophomore year of high school. I knew it involved a whole bunch of math that I hadn't taken yet. I knew it involved a whole bunch of extra courses that I probably didn't like, that I did end up liking, like quantum and nuclear and E&M. But going to A&T, it kind of helped me realize what was needed in terms of what happened after undergrad. I saw that there was a need in physics for people like us to be involved. We need more numbers in there. We need women in physics, men in physics, minorities in physics, blacks, Latinos, you know. And so I took on the challenge and I stayed. Stayed here through undergrad and graduated. I kind of accepted the fact that if I wanted to see any of these changes happening, you know, in the near future, then I had to do them myself. So I had to take on that challenge, struggle now, which I'm kind of seeing the results of, but at the same time, it helps any of you coming after me to have an easier path because I've already done it before you. So I can tell you what to do, what not to do, how to go here. The REUs are just phenomenal. You need an REU. I had one at Brookhaven National Labs with Kaveri. Doing research, you can do research here. We have a high supercomputing center that you can use. Don't be afraid of theoretical physics. Don't be afraid of math. And just go for just what you want to do. I knew I wanted to do gravity and gravitational theory, so I took on the challenge of learning all the math, differential geometry, geometric calculus, abstract linear algebra, you know, and all of these multiple computing languages. I now know about 8 languages now. And then putting that all together to what you are after and not stopping. So that would be my experiences, my advice.